Hello and welcome to the big picture. The issue of labour reforms has been under debate for some years now, with the present government coming up with a slew of measures. After having brought in amendments to Factories Act and Apprenticeship Act in the last session of Parliament, another set of reforms have been initiated. These reforms announced yesterday, like Unified Labour Portal, Universal Account Number for EPF, among others, are expected to help in doing business more easily, apart from helping workers. There are more reforms in the offing in order to make the government's decision to encourage Make in India in the manufacturing sector. Today we will look at these reform measures and whether it balances between the demands of the labour and the industry. To discuss this, I have with me Rajiv Kumar, former Secretary General FICCI and now a senior fellow at the Centre for Policy Research; Ajay Shankar, Member Secretary, National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council; Kumar, Zonal Organising Secretary, Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh; Bharadwaj, Secretary General, Federation of Indian Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises; and Padmanabhan, President of the CITU. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Bharadwaj, I would like to come to you first. Do you think that these measures which have been taken are something which are going to help the industry and make business easy, business easy?
I think it has well begun, and I'm sure that the Prime Minister has put his weight behind in making the attitudinal change. I think that is very important. I read in the newspaper that somebody has commented that it has been the low-hanging fruit, but right. These fruits have been hanging low for years now, and you rightly said that the discussion has been going on for years. So he has taken that step and he has stuck his neck out and decided that it's time to change. And if Make in India is to be realized, then we have to work on improving ease of doing business in the country. And for that, it is important that we begin with trust. I think that has been the message, the sum and substance of his initiating it.
Among the measures announced yesterday, what do you think is the most crucial, and why do you think it is most crucial?
I think I would say that it has just begun. So of course, there is this claim that what has been done will end the Inspector Raj in this country. Do you expect the Inspector Raj to end? I really don't think so. I think it would take some more time and maybe much more reforms, because let's face it, that labour reforms, or you can say the administration of labour, is essentially would be walking on two legs. One is the central government legislation, other is the state governments.
Right.
So some measures have been taken at the central government level, but ultimately the states also have to chip in and have to realize that manufacturing is so important that they should be accorded the kind of importance that the PM perhaps is thinking that should be done or is needed.
Interesting that you say that this is just the beginning. Pawanji, how do you look at these reforms? This ending of Inspector Raj as far as the industries are concerned, industrialists are concerned. As far as the workers are concerned, this unified, this EPF ka jo scheme which they have announced, portability of that. These are things I don't think you people should have any problem with, or should welcome it actually.
ये जो EPF का यूनिवर्सल नंबर सारे देश के लिए एक किया है, इसका हम स्वागत करते हैं, इसमें हमें कोई आपत्ति नहीं, वी वेलकम इट। किंतु जहाँ तक इंस्पेक्टर का संबंध है, तो एक बात ध्यान रखनी चाहिए सारे देश को, हर मामले में इंस्पेक्टर और मालिक दो ही लोग होते हैं, वो इनकम टैक्स का हो, वो सेल टैक्स का हो, एक्साइज का हो, कस्टम का, या सो मैनी एनवायरनमेंट, सो मैनी थिंग्स आर देयर। किंतु जहाँ तक लेबर इंस्पेक्टर का सवाल है, इसमें एक तीसरा पक्ष इफेक्ट करता है, वह है लेबर। उस लेबर के इंटरेस्ट को वॉच करना, आज की जो टोटल स्थिति है, जहाँ इंस्पेक्टर नहीं जाता है या जहाँ ट्रेड यूनियन नहीं पहुँचा है, वहाँ के लेबर लोगों की क्या हालत है। वहाँ कोई भी आपके पड़ोस में ये मुरादनगर है, ये पिलखुआ है, पानीपत है, आप जाकर देखिए, वहाँ कोई लेबर लॉ लागू नहीं करता। और उसमें से अगर इंस्पेक्टर और हट जाएगा तो इसका अर्थ है कि श्रमिकों का, मजदूरों का शोषण करने का हथियार ये मैनेजमेंट को मिल जाएगा। पहले ही शोषण होता है और अधिक मात्रा में मजदूरों का शोषण इस इंस्पेक्टर राज के नाम पर होगा। हमारा कहना है कि
इंस्पेक्टर राज के नाम पर नहीं, इंस्पेक्टर राज को बंद
हटाने
कर
के नाम पर, ये जो हटा रहे हैं, हटाने के नाम पर शोषण मजदूरों का बढ़ेगा। इसलिए हमारा ये कहना है कि ये लेबर मैटर्स पर, लेबर के मामले में लेबर अथॉरिटी को और अथोराइज करना चाहिए। बल्कि हम तो यहाँ तक एक कदम आगे बढ़ते हैं, अगर सरकार वास्तव में, हम रिफॉर्म की बात नहीं कर रहे, हम रिव्यू की बात करना चाहते हैं, आप लेबर लॉ को रिव्यू करिए। आज स्थिति क्या है? बोनस के मामले में 3500 रुपये का वर्कर है, वर्कमैन कंपनसेशन में 7500 का वर्कर है, पेमेंट ऑफ वेजेज में 18,000 का वर्कर है, ईपीएफ में 15,000 का वर्कर है, ईएसआई में 25,000 की चर्चा करते हैं। इस प्रकार से आज वर्कर की डेफिनेशन में ही हर एक्ट में अलग अलग है। तो क्या ये लेबर रिफॉर्म रिव्यू करके, क्या सब कानूनों में, जितने भी कानून हैं, सब में वर्कर ये परिभाषा मानी जाएगी? क्या एक परिभाषा होगी? क्या? एक सवाल और बताता हूँ आपको मैं कि सरकार कितनी सिंसियर है। 2002 से इस देश में द्वितीय श्रम आयोग बना, सेकंड कमीशन ऑन लेबर, उसकी एक रिकमेंडेशन आई। उसने कहा कि वर्कमैन ये डिस्क्रिमिनेटरी है, वर्कमैन वर्क वीमेन नहीं होता, इसलिए इसकी जगह वर्कर शब्द का इस्तेमाल किया जाए। गवर्नमेंट पिछले 12 साल से एक छोटा अमेंडमेंट, वर्कमैन के स्थान पर वर्कर शब्द का इस्तेमाल किया जाए, इसको करने के लिए भी तैयार नहीं है। आज लेबर रिफॉर्म की बात कर रहे हैं। मेरा ये कहना है कि जो सेकंड लेबर कमीशन में हुआ था, पहले उसको करिए। एक छोटी बात और कहकर अपनी बात पूरी करता हूँ। मामला ट्रस्ट का है, विश्वास का मामला है। क्या कल जो कुछ हुआ मजदूरों के नाम पर, उस सारे काम के लिए मजदूर संगठनों को विश्वास में लिया गया? क्या
एग्जैक्टली
किसी को भी मजदूर संगठनों को विश्वास में नहीं लिया गया। ये सबसे बड़ा मामला ट्रस्ट का है। ट्रस्ट कैसे होगा?
नहीं, ये कंसल्टेशंस की बात पहले भी आई थी। मिस्टर अजय शंकर, you know, are these in the right direction? Are these measures which have been taken in the right direction? Or, as Mr. Pawan points out, there's still a lot of, you know, stumbling blocks or problems in even these measures which have been taken. Do you agree with that?
The measures announced yesterday are in some ways very far-reaching.
And also, let's also take into consideration what has happened in the last Parliament session about, you know, amendments to the Factories Act, amendments to the Apprenticeship Act. These are all part of the measures which have been taken.
See, the two major measures announced yesterday, which were purely within the administrative purview of the government, are very, very far-reaching, and I think the implications of it are yet to be fully understood. If let us look at the worker first. For the workers, getting his EPF contribution has been a very difficult challenge in this country.
All of us have faced it at some point of time.
And if we see the amount lying with the authorities,
23,000 crores.
Now with this one decision yesterday, this will become history. So it really gives to the worker what has been his right, and makes it easy to get...
have access to his PF accounts.
Yeah. And he a direct to his bank account.
Right.
So this is fairly revolutionary, and I think we should appreciate it for what it is. May I then come to the other side? The other side is for the inspectors. Now, I would like to humbly submit that it is not that inspection has been done away with. All that it has said is that computers will generate random numbers for which inspection will be done. So the transaction cost or rent seeking or corruption will come down. The second thing it says is that if there is a complaint, there is an authority at an appropriate level which will decide that this complaint warrants a sudden inspection. And records of this will be kept electronically. So you bring again transparency and cleanliness within the system. There is no decision that inspections will not be done. It has also been announced that there will be self-certification, and lots of forms have been combined. So it becomes easier for small and medium enterprises to cope with the regulatory burden of the labor laws. Because if you can unify forms, if you can file them electronically, if you can do self-certification, then small firms can grow large. Today in this country, a large number of small firms do not become large because they don't have the manpower resources to handle the regulatory burden, not only of the labor laws, but all the other regulatory burdens. So I think we have to make a breakthrough there. So that small...
And you think this is
a very major first step. It is a very major first step, and I think it will have a huge impact. And the other thing which I would like to point out is that it is not just the announcements, but there is a very serious intention to see that it is implemented. So the Prime Minister has personally sent SMSs to labour inspectors, he has sent SMSs to factory owners. So it's a very strong communication campaign to see that what has been decided is actually implemented immediately and does not just remain a newspaper headline.
Okay, Mr. Padmanabhan, two things here. One, would you agree with what Mr. Ajay Shankar is saying? And second, about consultations.
No, I will start with the consultations. Whether we workers are considered to be stakeholders when we discuss about all these things. Where my friend Kumar just left, I will start from there. Because whatever he has said, I do agree with that.
Right.
Because workers are stakeholders on records. Whether it is at the international level at ILO or the Indian government or the state government, workers are considered to be stakeholders. But what is our experience? When you talk about reforms or reviews or whatever it is, where is the consultation? And so worker is not on the agenda, not only of this government, this has been happening for a very long time. Earlier there was at least a practice of a facade of some sort of a consultation process, whether it is implemented or not. We have 45 Indian labour conferences. And recent after 40, many things have been discussed. About labour law amendments, various other things, what should be done for the labour laws, all these things. Wherever even consensus was there, the government has not acted. Because some of the points are helpful to the workers. Now the whole agenda is easing for the, easing to do business. And so when only business becomes your agenda, and worker usually is just pushed off. And this is what has happened. And regarding the EPF thing, it is not something that our present Prime Minister has not done, with all the respect that is due to him. This is a process started years ago. And the earlier projects failed for some reason. Then the ECR process started, payment through internet and all that. And this was started well before. And before this government, I am not disputing, government is a continuous process.
Right.
Whether 2013 government or 25th May there was a government, and 26th May there is a new government. So government is government. But this is something which has been in the process, and it is in EPFO where actually the workers, the employers and the government worked together, we discussed, and this process came from that. And so there is nothing to object that. But here, yesterday what has happened is, in the name of Shrameva Jayate, this is a very good slogan. Right. And the Prime Minister even developed it to saying it is as important as Satyameva Jayate. Good if the worker gets that status. But other than saying that you are Rashtra Nirmata, you are Yogi, Karma Yogi or Rashtra Yogi, all that, what is that the worker has got yesterday other than this EPF thing?
What has it got? You don't think it has got anything in it?
No, only think about the fourth one. There were 5 agendas.
Right.
One, RSBY,
yes.
Indira Gandhi Yojana, Aam Aadmi Yojana, all merged together and put it into one single smart card. What is this revamped scheme? Nobody knows. And so there is, other than the inspection thing and this Inspector Raj, sir, it's a word. See, if you want to denigrate anything, this is the way. This is not the new thing. For a long time, Inspector Raj has been created and the word has been put in use. So as that the inspectors are the biggest hurdle as it is.
Now the claim is that it will be ended.
Yeah, yes, inspection will end. Why there is inspection? Why there should be inspection? And people have celebrated it. Yes, Inspector Raj becomes history. That was the banner headlines.
Right.
Okay. And so here, my point is, worker, if you consider him as part of, or whatever words you are using about the worker, words and deeds should match.
Okay. Mr. Rajiv Kumar, there are 2 questions to you. One is that, about the low-hanging fruit. Despite even my panelists here from the trade unions are still not very happy with what has been done. But it is claimed that what has been done is that, these were low-hanging fruits which have been... What you think that these are the kind of measures? Mr. Ajay Shankar feels that there is a very important. It will have some far-reaching implications. Would you agree with him?
My own belief is that it's a very good start. It's a great start, and doesn't matter whether this has been in the pipeline for 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years. The fact is that it was done yesterday, and the EPFO has become mobile, has become accessible to the worker so that he can claim his due. Something has been done, and we must be gracious enough to give credit for it, rather than say that it's been all there for all this time and therefore it doesn't matter. Or it does matter. It of course does matter. By putting 4 or 5 schemes together in the Rashtriya Bima Yojana, it empowers the workers. It sort of makes them makes them better off. And the fact that you've got the Apprenticeship Act, whereby the government is going to give you 50% stipend for the apprentices, I think is also a very good start. But let me come to this point about the workers' consultations. Of course, the workers would have to be consulted when the laws are being changed. And which is maybe the weakness, as some of the editorials today pointed out, that the laws have not been changed. All the 16 laws are exactly the same as they are. The only thing that has been done is to tell them that you can now file these returns, fill up these laws, fill up this sort of forms, submissions of these laws under these laws electronically and on one portal. And my own take would be is that why would not these 16 laws be rationalized and put into one? And that is what the step that is required to be taken and which must be taken. And in that, the workers must be consulted. But then the next question, Mr. Nikam, that arises, which workers are we talking about? We know that in our country, there is a workers' aristocracy. 8% of the workers are in the organized sector. They are the ones who are mostly represented by the organized trade unions, etc. 92% of the workers work in the informal sector, the unorganized sector. There is no succor for them. There is no protection for them. So I think it is time, therefore, that when we talk about the workers or on behalf of the workers, we also talk about those who have been so far marginalized, for whom there is no protection. And I hope that this particular process that has started will end this dualism in the labor market, because this is really keeping the great majority of the workers from getting what they want really, which is better employment and higher wages, which is not happening because of the conditions that we have created by 144 laws which are there in the country today.
Okay. Both of you, workers' aristocracy.
No. Sitting, first of all,
you represent only 8%.
First of all, labor aristocracy, all these words, some learned people have learned all these things and use it as they wish. Here, what the labor laws you are talking about is only labor laws applicable not to the unorganized sector workers, 94% workers. What laws about this country are applicable to factories, whether small or big or whatever it is. And so the laws that are being changed, the definition of the Factory Act has been changed. It is not that 16 laws have been put together. There is nothing to consult. My honorable participant, what he said was not correct. Factory Act definition has been changed.
Right.
Where was the consultation? ID Act you are changing. Rajasthan government has changed almost, putting aloof 76% of the
Industrial Disputes Act has not been touched. The Industrial Disputes Act has not been touched.
Factories Act has been amended, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, and also the Apprenticeship Act. Yes.
The Factories Act was amended, but the Industrial Disputes Act has not been amended.
Labor is not a sellable item. As a commodity, labor is not a market. Labor is a human being. Please, you treat as a human being. I request you, please.
माफ कीजिएगा, पंकज साहब, माफ कीजिएगा, कार्ल मार्क्स ने कहा था कि लेबर इज अ सेलेबल आइटम।
कार्ल मार्क्स ने क्या कहा?
वर्कर के पास लेबर होती है, वो सेल करता है।
लेबर इज नॉट अ सेलेबल आइटम।
मैं अपना लेबर सेल करता हूं। इसमें कोई बुरी बात नहीं है कहने की।
मार्क्स ओनली यू विल टेक वन सेंटेंस फ्रॉम
इसमें कोई कहने में
एक बात,
अदर थिंग्स अबाउट मार्क्स यू विल नॉट एग्री।
ओके, एक बात कहना चाहता हूं
जल्दी।
इन्होंने अभी स्मॉल स्केल के लिए कानून बनाने की बात की। एक मिनट
राजीव, लेट हिम फिनिश।
एक इन्होंने लेबर लॉ बनाने की बात की कि इंडियन लेबर कॉन्फ्रेंस में बात आई, स्मॉल स्केल के लिए कानून बन रहा है, उसको डिबेटेबल हो सकता है, किंतु उसी लेबर कॉन्फ्रेंस में, इंडियन लेबर कॉन्फ्रेंस में नेशनल मिनिमम वेज की बात थी, उसकी कहीं चर्चा नहीं हो रही। स्कीम वर्कर की बात थी, उसकी कहीं चर्चा नहीं हो रही।
वर्कर की काफी बात हो रही है।
4 साल से कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट पर, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वर्कर पर एक रिपोर्ट प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफिस में पड़ी है। लास्ट 4 इयर्स प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने एक हाई पावर कमेटी बनाई थी और वो रिपोर्ट प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफिस के साथ है। उस रिपोर्ट की चर्चा नहीं हो रही। लेबर लॉ में केवल मजदूरों को बाहर कैसे फेंकना, एक सवाल खड़ा करता हूं। बहुत लोग कहते हैं हमने 10 साल में इतने लोगों को रोजगार दिया है। मेरा सवाल यह है कितने लोगों को बाहर फेंका है, उसका भी आंकड़ा बताइए ना।
मिस्टर शंकर, no, the points which they are raised, they are valid points which they are raising. That, one is consultation. Rajiv, I'll come back to you. One is about the consultation process. Second is about, bringing these laws together. Is that the way out?
In fact, in fact, I believe.
And do you think that, as my trade union friends here say, that the whole focus is on making business easier, but what about the labor?
I think the divide is not as wide as it appears. Because what is the interest of these gentlemen? The interest is that the worker should get a better deal.
Right.
His rights should be protected,
right.
His welfare should improve. What is the interest on the other side? That firms should grow. When firms grow, wages rise, more people get jobs. So actually the two interests converge. And
do they converge?
That's in reality they converge. I mean,
on paper it converges.
Let me complete. So in reality the two interests are common. What does India want? It wants to give jobs to its young people. And you cannot give jobs to young people, you cannot succeed in Make in India, you cannot be a great manufacturing nation unless there is genuine partnership between the worker, the management, absolutely, the owners,
right,
and civil society.
Right.
Now this is a challenge for us as a country, because if we see this as labor versus small enterprises versus large enterprises, then we miss the big picture, which is that all of us have to work together to create jobs for our young people.
Absolutely.
And make India a prosperous nation.
Okay.
And if we do this, debate this in all seriousness, we can agree. They also said we need to review the laws. So let us review. Let us have a serious discussion.
They're talking of reform, review instead of reform. Mr. Bharadwaj, no, 2-3 questions, 1 or 2 questions to you actually. One is that, you people belonging to this small industry or micro industries or medium industries, one of the things which are being said is that all this is being done to help you people to grow. Do you think you can grow by these kind of measures which have been taken?
I think they would help, yes, for sure, especially if laws are rationalized and number of laws are converged, thresholds are increased, and especially startups don't have to bear the cost of social security. Of course, social security would be needed by labor or for labor, but the question is that who should bear that cost? If you put the entire cost on a startup, then in most of the cases, they would not be able to bear that cost, and they might not, more number of people would not be starting or venturing out for business.
Mr. Bharadwaj, forget this.
मन की बात करें, हम सोशल सिक्योरिटी वर्कर को देना नहीं चाहते, भारद्वाज जी, मन की बात कर रहे हैं. असली समस्या यही है.
No, I think I'm being misconstrued.
1 second, yes, Mr. Bharadwaj.
I'm being misconstrued. What I'm trying to say is that there is a question that who should bear that cost. Increasingly in many countries, for example in UK, for the startups, the governments have come forward. They realize that manufacturing is important, startups are important. So they have come forward and they have taken the cost of, they have shared the cost of the social security cost of the startups.
Okay.
So the point I'm trying to make is, whereas it is extremely important that workers should be given their due, of course, it is important, the social security is extremely important for the dignity of labor, but the question is the cost. And the government, if they need that, if they think that manufacturing is so important, then they have to also come forward and they should be willing to walk the extra mile for at least in the case of micro and small enterprises.
Okay. Rajiv, you think that government can bear this cost, what Mr. Bharadwaj is talking about? Very quickly, we are running out of time.
I don't completely agree with Mr. Bharadwaj. The firms themselves have to pull in some of their money towards the social security. The new manufacturing policy that was announced by the UPA in 2011, I think was a very good document because that had a provision that the employer, the government and a bit of the worker will all contribute to a fund which will be used for retraining the worker and to meet his social security cost during the time that he's in between finding jobs. If he's retrenched from one place and then goes to the other, that's a fund that we need to be put together, and that has to be a tripartite fund in which the worker will also have to contribute a little bit. But the majority of the contribution will have to come from the employer and the government, not just the government alone. The problem with the Indian industry is that it is constantly looking for fiscal crutches rather than bear its own responsibility and say that they need these workers and they need to retain and retrain these workers, because the workers are the basic source of their value and the profit that they create. So
absolutely.
They must recognize
I think what you said is will be music to the ears of my friends here. Okay, Rajiv. Very quickly, sir, you think it's possible? What Mr. Bharadwaj
what I'm saying is that India has no option but to create the genuine partnership between labor and management to create the jobs that our young people need. And these are complex issues and they need debate. They need serious debate and discussion. But we do need to have a modern 21st century law which is e-enabled, friendly and creates genuine partnership between workers and management so that India achieves its full potential.
Very quickly, Mr. Padmanabhan, you agree that the government, that there needs to be some reforms or review of reforms at least in this, and you expect the government, what do you expect from the government?
No, the government should understand that the worker is also a stakeholder in all these things, and we will be involved. We should be involved. There should be discussions. And who is the worker? That question. Worker is who is working. See, in this country, you don't allow the factory level worker to get organized or get unionized. From there starts the problem.
Absolutely. I think that is very quickly.
क्या मजदूर का पसीना जब तक उद्योग में नहीं लगेगा, क्या मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोसेस बढ़ेगा? और क्या मजदूर का पसीना और प्रबंधक का पैसा उसकी कीमत कभी समान आकी जाएगी?
I think that has been,
इस तरह की इमोशनल बात काम करने से काम नहीं बनने वाला.
नहीं, okay, Rajiv, I think that
ये इमोशनल मुद्दा थोड़ा है.
Okay, I think we have run out of time, but this is the kind of heat which has been generated within the studio only shows that there is still a lot to be discussed and consultations need to be done. But these schemes which have been announced, some of the panelists feel that it will have long-term impact. We'll wait and watch, and what other measures the government is planning to come and how it will help the workers and balance the needs of the demands of the industry and the workers. Thanks to all my guests, Mr. Anil Bharadwaj, Rajiv, Kumar, Ajay, Shankar, Pawan, Kumar and Mr. Padmanabhan. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue in the big picture same time on Monday. Meanwhile, have a great weekend.